For years, Queen Camilla fought one battle after another just to earn a place inside the British royal family. Critics doubted her. Headlines attacked her. Many believed she would never fully win public acceptance. Yet today, she stands at the very center of royal power. But what if the moment that looks like her greatest triumph is actually revealing her biggest vulnerability? Because while cameras captured a flawless military ceremony at Buckingham Palace, some royal watchers believe the event exposed a much deeper problem, one that no amount of pageantry can hide. And once you see it, this entire story starts to look very different. So Camilla just stood in front of the entire Grenadier Guards at Buckingham Palace, leading a ceremony involving some of Britain's most respected soldiers. On the surface, it looked like the ultimate victory lap, the kind of royal moment designed to send a very clear message. But when you look past the flawless choreography and the polished headlines, a different picture starts to emerge. Instead of pure confidence, it starts to feel like someone standing on a trap door, doing everything possible not to glance down. Look at the image released from Buckingham Palace on June 9, 2026. There's Queen Camilla wearing a striking regimental uniform, proudly displaying the historic Grenadier Guards brooch that once belonged to Queen Elizabeth II. Nearby, soldiers bowed their heads before the drum altar while the chaplain general consecrated the new colors. Every detail was carefully crafted to project stability, tradition, and authority. Camilla now serves as colonel of the regiment, one of the most prestigious positions in the household division. It's also the role that Queen Elizabeth II removed from Prince Andrew in 2022. On paper, this moment looks like the peak of a journey that took decades to reach. Think about how dramatic that transformation has been. The woman who was once portrayed by many tabloids as an outsider, someone often pushed to the edges of royal narratives, is now receiving the formal respect of one of Britain's most famous military regiments. That alone is a remarkable change. But here's where things get interesting. The more you focus on what this ceremony actually represents instead of what it was meant to project, the less it looks like a celebration of victory. It starts to look like something much more complicated. In fact, the entire event can seem less like a triumph and more like a highly polished display of anxiety hidden behind royal tradition. The timing is what makes people pay attention. Many observers focus on the pageantry, but the bigger story may be why this moment is happening now and what it says about the future. The real tension here isn't about what Camilla has gained. It's about what she may eventually lose. That's the contradiction sitting at the center of the story. She has reached positions many people once believed were impossible for her to attain. The title, the crown, the royal status, the military honors, the constitutional recognition. Every major milestone has been checked off the list. Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee message helped clear the path, and the 2023 coronation cemented it. That's the official version of events. But behind palace walls, another reality may be impossible to ignore. Power in a monarchy is never permanent. Roles change, generations shift, and attention moves forward. Camilla stands at the height of royal influence today, yet everyone understands that royal authority can change quickly when circumstances change. The real question isn't whether she holds power right now. The question is how long that influence lasts once the next chapter begins. And the circumstances are definitely going to change. That's what makes Camilla's position so intriguing. Many people keep watching her story because it feels like she's navigating a situation that comes with unique pressures. Rather than looking like someone focused on building a decades-long legacy, she often appears to be protecting a position that could face new challenges as the monarchy evolves. That's a very different mindset. Someone building a legacy is usually thinking far into the future. Someone protecting a position is focused on what could happen if conditions suddenly shift. When you look at Camilla's public appearances through that lens, the level of precision becomes hard to miss. Every ceremony, every speech, and every public engagement seems carefully managed. There's little room for mistakes, and that creates a sense of constant pressure Part of that pressure comes from how influence works within the British monarchy. There are two major forms of royal power. The first is official authority. That includes titles, ceremonial roles, military appointments, and constitutional standing. In that area, Camilla has reached the highest levels possible. King Charles has ensured her position is firmly established within the institution, and her role is backed by royal tradition and official recognition. The second form of influence is public affection, and that can be much harder to secure. Over the years, many people have accepted Camilla as queen and recognize her place within the monarchy. But acceptance and admiration are not always the same thing. Public conversations have often compared her to other well-known royal figures, and those comparisons continue today. That distinction matters because strong public support can help royal figures weather difficult moments. Without a deep reserve of public goodwill, every challenge can attract greater scrutiny. Every headline, public appearance, and major event carries added significance. That's why maintaining a stable image remains so important. What makes the situation even more interesting is the timeline itself. Camilla became queen in her mid-70s, alongside a king who was also in his mid-70s. This was never expected to be a reign stretching across generations like Queen Elizabeth II's historic 7-decade era. The future transition has always been part of the conversation, and everyone knows it's approaching eventually. This phase of the monarchy was always expected to be a transition rather than a decades-long chapter, and that reality creates a unique challenge for Camilla. Much of her position is connected to King Charles and his reign. The moment a new monarch eventually takes the throne, her role changes dramatically. The titles, responsibilities, and ceremonial influence that come with being queen consort would no longer be the same. That shift isn't gradual. It happens the moment the crown passes to the next generation. That's why images like the June 2026 Grenadier Guards ceremony carry an extra layer of meaning. On the surface, they showcase prestige, tradition, and authority. But they also highlight a reality that everyone inside the institution understands. These moments are tied to a specific period in royal history. Unlike Queen Elizabeth II, who had decades to establish her place in public life across the world, Camilla has operated within a much shorter time frame. Every major appearance carries added significance because the window is naturally more limited. Any discussion about the future of the monarchy also brings attention to another factor: the next generation. And that's where William and Catherine enter the picture. Not because of conflict or rivalry, but because they represent the monarchy's future. Their public profile, global recognition, and strong media attention naturally draw focus toward what comes next. What makes this dynamic especially interesting is that no one has to take any action for the spotlight to shift. Public attention often gravitates toward future heirs and the next chapter of a royal institution. William and Catherine receive enormous interest wherever they go, and that reality inevitably shapes discussions about the current royal family. The contrast between Camilla's journey and Catherine's public image is often a major topic among royal watchers. Camilla's path to becoming queen was long, complicated, and heavily scrutinized. For years, she faced intense criticism from sections of the media and public debate. Her acceptance within royal life developed gradually over time and required years of careful public engagement. Catherine's experience has been very different. As a future queen, she entered public life under different circumstances and quickly became one of the most recognized members of the royal family. That contrast continues to shape how many people view the present monarchy and its future direction. Camilla's rise to her current position didn't happen overnight. It came after years of carefully building trust, maintaining a low profile, and consistently supporting the duties expected of a senior royal. Over time, she strengthened her standing within the institution through patience, discipline, and persistence. For many observers, her journey has been defined by endurance. It took years of public appearances, charitable work, and dedication to gradually change perceptions and secure her place at the center of royal life. Catherine's path has looked very different. From the beginning, she connected strongly with large sections of the public and quickly became one of the most popular members of the royal family. Over the years, she has built a global profile that combines tradition with a modern image. As a result, she attracts enormous public interest wherever she goes. That difference creates a fascinating dynamic. When both women attend major events, media coverage often focuses heavily on the Princess of Wales. It's not necessarily because of controversy or favoritism. Public attention naturally follows the figures who generate the strongest interest, and Catherine has become one of the most recognizable royals in the world. For Camilla, that reality can make the spotlight feel increasingly competitive. Every major achievement, ceremony, or royal milestone is taking place during a period when public attention is also shifting toward the next generation. As Catherine gradually returns to a more active public role, discussions about the monarchy's future become even louder. The challenge for Camilla isn't that anyone is trying to undermine her position. The challenge is that history often focuses on the figures who define an era. Some royal commentators argue that future narratives may place greater attention on figures such as Diana, William, and Catherine, leaving less space for the story of Camilla's long and complicated journey. Whether that prediction proves accurate remains to be seen, but it remains a frequent topic of discussion. The situation becomes even more significant when considering Prince William's future role. As heir to the throne, he has spoken about modernizing aspects of the monarchy and adapting the institution for future generations. Whenever that transition eventually occurs, a new reign will naturally bring new priorities, new goals, and a different public focus. And with every passing year, that next chapter feels closer than ever. This doesn't mean William is holding on to old grievances or secretly planning some dramatic shakeup. There's little evidence to suggest that, but what seems far more likely is that any future vision for the monarchy would naturally revolve around his wife, his children, and the next generation of heirs. That isn't personal, it's simply how royal succession works. Every new reign brings a shift in priorities, attention, and public focus. For Camilla, however, that reality may be impossible to ignore. After spending decades working her way into the center of royal life, she understands that her current position is tied to the reign of King Charles. Every major ceremony, military appointment, and high-profile royal duty exists within a chapter that will eventually come to an end. That awareness adds a different meaning to every public appearance. Beyond William and Catherine, there is another factor shaping the monarchy's future: the younger generation of royals. Figures such as James, Earl of Wessex, represent a new chapter for the royal family. As the son of Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, he has largely grown up away from intense media scrutiny. Because of that, he enters adulthood with a very different public image than many senior royals experienced during previous decades. This contrast highlights an important reality about the institution. The monarchy is always looking forward. Public attention naturally shifts toward younger family members, future heirs, and the people expected to carry the royal story into the coming decades. As those younger figures become more visible, conversations about the future grow louder and more frequent. That also points to one of the limits of Camilla's influence. While she holds a significant position within the monarchy today, the future direction of the institution will ultimately be shaped by the generations that follow. William, Catherine, their children, and other younger royals will become the faces most closely associated with the monarchy's next era, and that creates the central paradox of Camilla's story. She achieved goals that many once thought were out of reach. She overcame years of criticism, navigated intense public scrutiny, and eventually reached the highest role available to a queen consort. Today, she stands at major state occasions, wearing symbols of royal tradition and representing the crown at the highest level. For many, that looks like complete vindication. And in some ways it is, but reaching the summit and securing a lasting place in the future are not always the same thing. That distinction continues to shape the conversation surrounding her role today. The fascinating thing about the monarchy is that it's designed to keep moving forward, no matter who occupies the spotlight at any given moment. No individual, regardless of status, remains at the center forever. That reality creates a unique challenge for Camilla as the royal family continues, evolving and preparing for future generations. The attention surrounding her story comes from the fact that it reflects some of the most dramatic themes in royal history: ambition, resilience, public scrutiny, and the constant battle to maintain relevance inside one of the world's most watched institutions. Those themes have followed her for decades and continue to shape public discussion today. Behind the polished appearances and carefully planned ceremonies is a queen whose role exists within a very specific period of royal history. Camilla's position is closely connected to the reign of King Charles, and she understands that the monarchy will eventually move into a new chapter. Many royal observers see the current era as a bridge between the historic reign of Queen Elizabeth II and the future reign that will one day belong to William and Catherine. That transition is what gives every major royal event added significance. The respect, authority, and ceremonial importance associated with Camilla's position come through her role within the current reign. When the monarchy eventually changes hands, the focus of the institution will naturally shift as well. That's simply the way royal succession has always worked. This is why the Grenadier Guard ceremony attracted so much attention. On the surface, it was a powerful display of royal tradition, prestige, and symbolism. It showcased Camilla at the height of her influence, surrounded by centuries of history and ceremony. But for some commentators, the event also highlighted something deeper: the desire to strengthen and reinforce a legacy while the opportunity exists. Seen from that perspective, the ceremony becomes more than a celebration. It becomes part of a broader effort to cement a place in royal history and ensure that contributions made during this era are remembered long into the future. That's a goal shared by many public figures who understand that history can be unpredictable. The challenge is that maintaining such a visible role requires constant effort. Every appearance is analyzed. Every photograph is examined. Every public engagement generates headlines and commentary around the world. The pressure is relentless, especially within an institution where tradition, symbolism, and public perception carry enormous weight. That's why every ceremonial moment matters so much. In a monarchy built on image and continuity, there is little room for mistakes. The spotlight never truly fades, and the expectations never disappear. As the next generation continues gaining attention, the importance of preserving a lasting legacy becomes even greater. One of the biggest debates surrounding Camilla has always been the difference between public acceptance and public enthusiasm. Over the years, many people have come to accept her position within the monarchy, but discussions continue about the depth of that connection. In a modern royal institution, public support can be just as important as official titles and ceremonial authority. That's why popularity remains such a powerful force in shaping royal narratives. For many observers, that's what makes Camilla's story so compelling. Her journey to the crown was anything but straightforward. She spent decades facing criticism, intense media attention, and constant public scrutiny. Yet, despite those challenges, she remained a central figure in royal life and eventually reached the highest role available to a queen consort. Few stories in modern royal history have involved such a dramatic transformation. But even at the height of her influence, bigger questions continue to surround the future. As she stood before the Grenadier Guards in 2026, receiving one of the highest ceremonial honors associated with her role, the moment symbolized both achievement and uncertainty. It was a powerful display of status, tradition, and royal authority. At the same time, it highlighted a reality that cannot be ignored. The monarchy is always moving toward its next chapter. Whenever that transition eventually comes, the institution will naturally reorganize around a new king, a new generation, and a new set of priorities. William's leadership, Catherine's global popularity, and the growing visibility of younger royals will shape the future direction of the House of Windsor. That shift is not unusual. It is part of the cycle that has defined royal history for centuries. Because of that, the Grenadier Guards ceremony may ultimately be remembered as one of the defining images of Camilla's time as queen. It captured a moment when she stood at the center of the institution, backed by centuries of tradition and surrounded by symbols of royal power. Yet it also reflected the reality that no royal era lasts forever. The real question isn't whether Camilla holds influence today. The question is how history will remember her role once the next generation fully steps into the spotlight. That answer is still being written, and it's one of the reasons royal watchers remain so fascinated by her story. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future updates. And most importantly, leave a comment below and let us know your thoughts on Camilla's legacy and the future of the monarchy. We'd love to hear what you think.